I am not Catholic, but I was brought up in the Episcopal Church, which we called Catholic Light, so it comes with about half the guilt.
Well, I'm Baptist, so hey.
And you're Baptist, that comes with its own baggage.
Come on now. That's
Any
a whole
of us who
story.
subscribes to any particular religion carries a certain amount of baggage with
Right.
us. The Pope has come out to say this. Now, I'm wondering, I have checked in with a friend who is both Catholic and in the animal rescue world. You can connect those dots if you want to get her take on this. But the Pope says having pets instead of kids takes away our humanity. This was at the Vatican yesterday. He spoke about this because the trend is for couples to have pets rather than children. Now I understand that there are fewer couples having children, but I'm wondering if saying that having pets takes away our humanity is going to cause an uprising among those who are both pet owners and those who rescue animals as well.
But you know, there are some people who just know they're not going to make great parents. They've come to grips with that. They've had that discussion with themselves late at night, I'm sure. And they happen to be pet lovers. I don't see anything wrong with that.
And you have to wonder what motivates us. I mean, I find there to be an irony that the Pope, yes, he's the leader of the church. He's given his life to it. He's a man of the cloth. And yet he doesn't understand the nature of an intimate, personal relationship on that level or being a parent, because that's not part of what his job calls him to be able to experience. So it's interesting that he's giving out this guidance and advice from a point of view where he's never had the... Listen, that's not to say he can't have a worldview on humanity and parenting and so forth. But I think this is probably going to... I'm just going to make a prediction here. At some point, he's going to be clarifying what he said. Because I think it's causing a bit of a stir. We had the conversation here not too long ago about how more and more people are moving away from religion. And this Pope, Pope Francis, was meant to, really part of his goal was to bring younger people back to the church. I don't know if this statement will do that.
Wow. You know, first thing that popped in my mind was, you know, think about our parents when they were older and the children are grown and they move away from home, and then they have pets that take up that space. You know, when they're lonely and they're by themselves and they're isolated, a pet helps kind of takes the place of the kids that used to be there.
Well, and we talk about the value of pets in hospital settings, in nursing homes with the elderly, comfort care, for therapy, and a range of things. I also wonder if in saying this, what was I saying? I've completely lost my train of thought.
That's all right.
It's one of those mornings. What was I going to say? Oh my gosh, it's like I'm like really having a conversation.
No, that's right. We were talking about, you know, being older and having, you know, when you have pets and use hospice care or, you know, being in a senior care living. Did you have a senior moment?
Oh yeah, I had a senior moment.
Okay,
I totally had one. You have those.
I was trying to reel you. Come on.
No, I was hoping you would be able to trigger it.
That's okay. It'll hit in the B block.
It'll come back to you in the B block, and then we'll have to revisit that. So in any case, this is our Morning After Express question of the day. Did you hear what the Pope said yesterday about not becoming parents takes away our humanity? And how do you feel about that if you're among those Catholics who has chosen not to become a parent and you feel like your humanity is fully intact? I know what I was going to say. There is a broader issue to deal with, and that is the children who live in poverty, the children who live in homeless conditions, children who are abused. I mean, I feel like to just sort of say our humanity is being lost by not having children also ignores that we have children who are underserved in this country and elsewhere, and we need to take care of them. We have a foster system that fails them many times. We've highlighted that. So I feel like this conversation fails to address any of that.
Right. That is a conversation that needs to be
had, right? So we'll have your feedback on that coming up.